Nice to meet you. My name is Kamilė. I'm a junior pre-sales engineer at Hermitage Solutions Baltics. And today we are joined by Jeremy Marsalik, who is a senior sales engineer at CoreView.
Thank you, Kamilė. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to that introduction about CoreView One and how we can help you optimize your M365 environment to the better. So, as you may know, today, M365 tenants are indeed exposed. This is the main way to get access to your data. Hackers are very fond of it. They need to get access to your environment. And we have some metrics to prove it. 71% of M365 tenants have at least 7 successful account takeover attacks per year, according to Vectra. That's huge, at least 7 identities compromised. 71% of configurations tampering during attacks. So when the hackers are in, they are making your tenants weaker in order to be able to come back in case they are excluded, or to keep just putting out information out of your environment. So that's how they do it. And 63% of organizations, according to Microsoft, are failing to implement the principle of least privilege, being able to just grant the right permissions, the right rights for users in their environment. So that's a real issue. And actually, that's one is quite frightening too. 49% of IT leaders think that Microsoft, and really Microsoft, will restore their configurations after an incident. They will restore their tenants in the exact same way it was before the issue. Spoiler alert, they don't. Microsoft will never, ever do that. They have nothing in place for that. That's not their place. That's not their responsibility. That's actually yours. So with all of this in mind, we can focus a little bit on the Microsoft security playbook. And it's great. Everybody's saying, yeah, I want to increase my secure score. But the secure score really is focused on that aspect. What you had in M365 at the very beginning, or should I say Office 365. Remember back in the days, it's already been, 15 years. The idea that you had something quite simple, one simple SaaS application with some apps, that's it. But now M365 is a galaxy of products. And that secure score from Microsoft isn't enough because it's really focusing on only some areas, not everything. You have so much that you need to take care of, whether it's Teams, your identities, everything about Copilot and its compliance, right? Because you've got an AI crawling through all of your data, everything security related, purview, and so on. So yeah, the security score is a good starting point, but it's not nearly enough now. So it requires us to have a brand new approach on security. And here I am to give you a couple of use cases, the most critical ones, actually. We can all agree that, for instance, M365 is a critical identity parameter, right? And of course, the response for that issue, that risk, is to enforce zero trust. Everybody knows that, right? The reality is that, well, there is no auto enforcement. You have to do the work. And if anything is being changed by someone who's malicious, you won't have any alerts. It will just stay as it is, right? So you have to keep on monitoring these aspects. M365 is a unique and great collaboration platform, but it has risks, of course. So you have to detect any suspicious collaborations. And why? Well, because, for instance, if you take guest account, you have external people getting access to your company tenants. And that's really something that is that needs to be taken care of. Well, there is a high risk, of course, of sharing everything, even if we are in a collaborative world. But once again, there is no alert if someone is getting access to some data they're not supposed to. Microsoft 365 has the most powerful privileges. Of course, Microsoft has 81 roles, if I remember properly. So you can start implementing least privileged access, right? But in reality, that's not the case. Either if you want to have a true least privilege access, you are forced to use multiple tenants to split between data and security, or you have to put everything into one single tenant and play with these rules that Microsoft have defined, but it's not that great. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So it's quite complex to juggle between productivity and security. Of course, you have your tenant configurations, and you have to be able to monitor them and detect if anything has changed anytime, right? Well, the reality is that there is nothing on the Microsoft side to do this. Someone changes something on your M365 tenants, it might take hours, days, if not weeks before you detect it. And this is something very critical. And of course, last point, Microsoft 365 is the core to your business operations. So of course, you need to be able to restore it after an incident, after someone has hacked the tenant. There is no way right now in the Microsoft environment to recover from that hack, to come back to that nominal state that you had before that issue. Right now, there is nothing. So these are just key elements, but these are indeed focus points and critical issues that you need to address. And this is actually why we have created CoreView in the first place. We are really going to talk about security and governance today, and this is actually the core of our environment. And this is whether you are in a multi-tenant or single-tenant environment. We help you manage any M365 environment, whatever the configuration. So we are really helpful for any kind of company that uses M365. We are going to focus on key elements such as the zero trust assurance, making sure that you have zero trust in place, that you can rely on it to prevent people from coming in. We will help you detect configuration drift, right? Any change made, whether by Microsoft or an admin, will be displayed, and you can identify it and decide what to do with it. We will give you least privilege. This is actually the very reason I joined CoreView in the first place 5 years ago. The concept of least privilege is in the core of the product. You can give bespoke permissions to people based on what you need them to do. Tenant rewind. This is actually something that we are very proud of. If there is a change in configuration, you are able to come back to an initial configuration. And one thing too is that in a couple of days, 2 days, we will have a user rewind. If someone is making a change on a user, well, you'll be able to come back to a previous configuration. Someone has been removed from a group. Let's re-add automatically the user in there. And of course, and that's very, very important, the concept of governance and life cycle. That's very important for us because even if you have the ability to prevent some issues, you still have to maintain a governance in your environment. So this is really who we are. And at the attack level, this is how we work. For each and every one of these steps, we are able to position features in CoreView to help you secure your M365 environment. Starting with the tenant being compromised, we will, of course, enforce zero trust. So we will make our best to prevent people from accessing your tenant illegally. Of course, as you know, a 100% bulletproof security system doesn't exist, but we have the ability to provide a lot of features to reduce this surface of attack. Configuration tampering, because as I mentioned, once the hackers are in, before they were just taking over the identity and they were trying to stay there. Now what they do is that they take over an identity, they modify the configuration to be able to stay in your tenant for as long as needed, even if they are kicked out. So they have to change your configuration, and CoreView will show you what has been modified and allow you to come back to a previous version. The principle of least privilege, you will be able to grant people the vision on some specific objects and the possibility to just run some actions on them. So once again, bespoke permissions on defined scopes is what we call least privilege, and we are going way further than Microsoft on that. And so once these 3 steps of attack has been passed, that's up to you to do the work. So starting with the incident and response. So once you have something that has happened in your tenant and that you need to recover, that you need to, yes?
You froze up a bit.
Oh, okay. Why did you lose me?
At the beginning of number 4.
Oh, okay, sorry. So yeah, the step number 4 is you identifying an issue, a hack, and correcting the situation. CoreView will help you once again see the change and rewind them. Okay, and just for your knowledge, according to the IBM Ponemon 2025, if you have an identity compromise on the 1st of January, the average time it takes to detect it and correct the situation would place you, I think it's between beginning or half of November. So that's how long it takes for you to detect something and correct the situation. CoreView will really reduce that problem to a couple of maybe hours. And the last part, of course, once you've been hacked or not, but once you have corrected the situation, the main issue is to make sure it never happens again. So CoreView will help you increase your governance and implement it. And this is actually all of we can do with the platform. Starting with your main stacks, we will help you automate policy enforcement, secure your guest users, which is like the basic security scenario, or maintain SharePoint and Teams under control with all of these sharing capabilities. Of course, everybody needs help with Copilot. It's a great tool, but it needs governance and rules in place, and CoreView can help you with that. You'll be able to detect your tenant's configuration drifts, back up your tenant configuration, manage these changes, and of course, audit them to be sure that something that has been changed had a reason to be changed. Whatever the environment, wherever your identities are, we can support it because we have a hybrid agent that allows you to manage everything, your identities in the cloud or on premises, even if you have an Exchange server. Teams telephony, of course, is something we do, of course. And that's one thing I really like, is the ability to manage your Entra apps, right? This is kind of the countermeasure for a midnight blizzard attack, being able to monitor your applications and make sure that they have the right permissions, that their secrets are still in place and not expired, and so on and so on. All of that with all of our delegation capabilities, the ability to split a tenant into what we call virtual tenants. Kamilė will show you these a bit later. Tenant consolidation with the governance part, and being able to manage everything from a self-service admin perspective. Last but not least, everything of all of these features are in one single place instead of opening 15 or 16 admin centers. And on top of that, my favorite, automation. You'll be able to automate onboarding, offboarding, of course, and any other task that you can think of. We have virtually no limits. And the icing on the cake, of course, you can do license management in CoreView. Be sure that you are really using the licenses you have at your disposition to the fullest. So this is who we are in a nutshell with all of these capabilities we offer. This is our architecture. It's a basic one. We are not giving too much details, but the idea is that to connect to CoreView, you will just need an M365 account. You will connect against the M365 environment, your M365 environment, and we will provide data. And our hybrid agent is a very unique piece of work. we are the only one in the market, the only ones in the market, the only company that offers that capability. Wherever your identities are, we are able to manage them. So you can, from CoreView, create your Active Directory users and groups on premises, have them in Entra, and then come back to CoreView. This is a very unique piece, and it's fully secured. Everything we have is hosted in the Microsoft data centers. But think about it. You can have people in CoreView being able to create users and groups without having direct access to domain controllers. From a security perspective, that's best, because right now, you usually delegate access to the domain controllers to help desk level 1 or level 2 teams. There is no other way to do that except buying a third-party tool. And CoreView allows you to manage everything in one single place. If you have questions, of course, about the hybrid agents, we can cover that later. But yeah, that's it for the slides. And let's start with a CoreView demo.
Thanks, Jack.
Kamilė,
Yeah.
up to you.
I will be taking over now. Wait a second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So moving on, we will be presenting the product in a way that will show how, when dealing with common problems, you can use CoreView practically. So a lot of IT teams are already facing issues of lack of IT staff, difficulty managing licenses, and a need to meet compliance requirements, especially in EU with NIS2 coming up. So we will be showing you how CoreView can be a simple tool for you to use to enhance your environments. Starting at the dashboard, one amazing thing that CoreView will offer you instantly is an immediate audit of your overall M365 environment. So after uploading your tenant, it will take a few hours, but for IT teams, it will already show areas of problems that you could possibly deal with. And CoreView comes with 8 playbooks and over 90 different policies that are already out of the box for you to use immediately. And here we can see some of those examples. So the overall score of how safe your tenant is, and all of the different policies and playbooks that we have. If you would press here, you would see a list of all of the violations with the different labels from critical to informational to make you prioritize certain issues faster than others. So with using this, you will already have a useful tool that won't require to put a lot of work to start using immediately. Other than that, we can go into each separate playbook and see what kind of policies they have there. You can see how many violations are registered in your environment and the policies that are created. So in this example over here, you will see a small definition of the policy and what it does. You will see what impact it will have on your tenant, and you will be able to remediate the issues right away just by pressing Enable Remediation. But if you want more information, you can always access the policy for further information, and you will have a very comprehensible report on what is going on in your tenant. So for example, here we have users without MFA, a very common issue and an obvious security risk that you want to mitigate. So CoreView would offer you this policy and a remediation already in order. So for example, here we can preview the remediation, which is Office 365 Manage MFA. Basically, you will enable this remediation, and it will automatically require for users to put MFA protection onto their user. You can always set exceptions and set them for a time. So eventually, if they expire, you can see them. You can see executed actions. And what is great about this feature is, for example, here you have the view of overall policies that are already offered by CoreView, but you can switch to widget view, which also offers a lot of information. For example, right here, we can see matched items over time. So you can visually track the different configurations in your tenant and how certain policy violations are controlled. This makes for great reports to your customers or to other employees that you need to inform about the state of your tenant. And another cool thing is that we also have potential monthly time saving. So as I mentioned, lack of IT staff is a common issue with IT departments. And if you are using CoreView and specifically using remediations and workflows, you can have a data of how much time you have saved or potentially will save your IT department by using CoreView. The cool thing about this is then you might ask, okay, so what kind of time did you set? But in reality, you can customize the time saving by yourself. So for example, measure how long approximately switching MFA requirements require you, and then adding the time value into your tenant. So this time-saving tracking system can be customized by you and track the actual time that it takes you to do certain things. One might ask, so CoreView obviously has a lot of out-of-the-box solutions to offer, but for automation, some companies might need custom policies, custom playbooks, custom workflows. Can CoreView do that? Yes, it can. So if we go into actions and manage actions, you will see over about 180 different out-of-the-box actions that CoreView already offers. But by going into manage custom actions, you can add your own. So this is especially important for companies that may already have extensive libraries in GitHub, for example, for scripts of their own. So CoreView supports PowerShell scripts, and here we can add a demo policy and see how it would go. You can add the targets, for example, users, the parameters, variables, and at this point you can add the script. Cool feature that CoreView has is, of course, AI integration, which all the software development companies are moving towards that. But basically, you add your scripts, and you can optimize your scripts by using Optimize Script button. So yeah, review and complete. You save your script, and then you will be able to use it on any of the environments. CoreView also offers workflows. So there are some templates for you to use. Jeremy already mentioned that there are onboarding and offboarding templates prepared, but you can always customize them and make your own. Here you can see what a workflow would look like. a workflow is essentially a step of actions that you would take to control a situation, and it would really help the IT department with repetitive tasks because you can not only create workflows, you can also let certain employees get assigned to do them. For example, in onboarding, HR departments have the capabilities of onboarding new employees. So if you delegated this work to them, it would make your own lives easier. So here you can see, for example, a lot of different workflows that were created, but you can add your own. By adding actions, sequences, you can have conditions to make them generally more complex and add catch actions. So if the workflow would fail, you could get notifications or additional actions performed by adding them into this template. As I mentioned, CoreView can offer you virtualization of your tenant. So if you would go here, you could add new segments to a tenant that already exists. So for companies that have very large enterprises and different filials in cities or even countries, this is a great way to segment your tenant into logical pieces. So again, demo. So again, a demo company can be added. You can add groups to it, users that might apply to this company, devices, SharePoints, and operators at the end. So you would already have a logical segmentation of this company. And then you have permissions. So for example, if you have a segmentation, you would maybe want certain people to have less actions than a global admin would have, because global admins are already a serious security issue in your environment. So basically, you do the same, add new, and here you can configure what kind of permissions each person would be allowed to have. So for example, if you have an HR, you maybe would want them to execute some workflows, maybe have the ability to control users, maybe have some other management actions. Maybe you would like to add specific workflows to their permission and be able to see specific reports. So you create this permissions tab, and then you can check what your environment would look like via here. So for example, we have a demo company, virtual tenant, and we have permissions, for example, for help desk. And then we can check the governance center and see that, okay, so these permissions really cut down on things that they can access. They don't have as much view into the playbooks. They have the overall information of how the tenant looks, how many policy violations that are relevant to them there are, and just a general dashboard with some graphics. The same can be, as I mentioned, limits to how many reports are people able to see, because not all reports will be relevant. Maybe active users, maybe inactive users if these people are in charge of onboarding and offboarding procedures. And then you can clear the filters and get back to your own view. So what I wanted to accent here is the fact that with CoreView, if you are experiencing a lack of IT staff, this solution is great for you because, first of all, it already offers a lot of capabilities straight out of the box for you to start your work immediately. It will give you guidance on the issues in your environment, so you wouldn't have to start from zero, not knowing where to go. CoreView also offers you the capabilities of customize your own policies, customize your own workflows and actions so that it fits your need perfectly. And using all of these features, you can really automate and save time and also keep track of the time that you saved. So moving on to the next issue, Jeremy already mentioned that for a lot of companies, it gets really difficult to manage licenses. So in IT environments, onboarding and offboarding procedures and scenarios are typical, and there will always be a turnover in employees in a company. So some of these capabilities, some of these issues can be solved with CoreView, for example, the onboarding, offboarding workflows that help you automate this process. But for license pool management, it can still be tricky, especially if you are a large enterprise with a lot of different employees, departments, and so on. So the icing on the cake is that CoreView offers you a centralized solution to manage all of these licenses without having to go through 100 different Microsoft pages. So to start that, you would have to create your own license pool. Going here, you will see that there are two types of license pools, enforce and assign. So there isn't that huge of a difference. The fact is that assign uses attributes from CoreView. So you can use more interesting attributes that differ from typical M365 environment attributes. And for example, we will be using country to filter our license pool. You can always add a secondary filter, and also you can use license pool only for reporting purposes rather than management itself. So you select also a SKU. So for example, E5 and E3 licenses, and you submit to the license pool. And here you can see already that we, based on the countries, we already have 6 different countries with a different number of licenses and unmanaged. This means that the licenses in this particular criteria don't have a country assigned to them because they likely haven't been assigned. And once you have your license pool in order, you can go into reports. So I didn't mention a lot about reports, but CoreView offers great and powerful capabilities to view and track your tenant. So for example, right now we will go into the license pool center and view the different licenses in different countries. Here you can see that the number of licenses allocated to pools, not allocated to pools, and assigned to users used by them. So this feature is great because it just helps you structurally follow and manage these licenses over time, because License Pool Center also offers you the capability of tracking how many licenses have been used in months. So you can compare just if you're tracking them in order or not. And essentially, the idea would be that you migrate into CoreView for the full management of the tenant's licenses. So if you see that France, for example, has 6 users and 6 licenses, but in reality, they should have more licenses or less licenses. You can say that allocated for the pool, for example, there should be 3 licenses, and you can see that remaining in the pool, there is a deficit of 3 licenses. So what would this do? Removing license numbers from the pool won't actually remove the licenses from users at the country of France. But if people are correctly using CoreView platform to assign licenses, they wouldn't be able to assign any more new licenses to users. So this essentially would create a situation where users would have to go and review the licenses in their tenant and either clean up users that do not use these licenses or essentially purchase new licenses. But the idea of CoreView is for you to be able to handle chargeback easily. So, for example, if you see that overall in the country, in the company, there is a large number of licenses and there are not all used, you could manage and clean up the pool you already have to make the maximum use out of them. So as I mentioned, here you can control the number of licenses that are allocated to a pool. But what you can also do is you can track the prices. So for example, you can assign your own cost here. It's not necessarily managed by us. So for example, you put in the values of how much these licenses cost you in Australia, for example, and then you are able to keep track of the amounts and prices as they go in time. And in the snapshot department, here you can see, for example, what the licenses look like today in July. But you can compare them with older data to see if there are any positive changes. So as I mentioned, essentially with CoreView as the management platform for these licenses, the idea would be that you would be using it to motivate admins, maybe local admins, to clean up the environment and make sure that the licenses are used optimally. So yeah, you can compare the data, and a cool feature, this is probably my favorite center, is the optimization center for licenses. So here you have a comprehensible and easy to understand look of the situation in your tenant. So you can see the unnecessary spending. So if we have a surplus of 15 licenses that aren't used, you can compare the snapshots and see the differences. So for example, 19 users were inactive in March and had still licenses assigned to them. And here in July, we can see that there's only 15, but they're still an active user, so there's more work to be done. You can also immediately go into reports. So for example, inactive users. Yeah, and now I will show you the cool capabilities of CoreView with reports. So basically, CoreView offers over 400 different, if I'm not mistaken, attributes with which you can edit your reports to make them most useful and valuable to you. So, for example, we can check last activity date in M365. Oh, maybe it's already applied. last Microsoft 365. Yeah, and then we are able to track this information. For some reason, I can't see the column right now, technical issues, sorry. But yeah, you can customize these reports, and then you can, what you can do is, if you find interesting data that is important to your company's management, you can create custom policies, as I've mentioned before, and also you can schedule reports. So for example, you have active users, you want to send this report to someone, you put a small description, you can make this a reoccurring event. So this is great for people who have clients that they regularly need to send reports to, and you can make this a monthly thing. For example, reoccurs every 1 month on day or on the second day of Monday. And yeah, you put in the recipients for this report, a small email text, the format that you would like to send, and then you can basically get these reports on a recurrent basis without having to put any much effort. Okay, so again, to recap what I've said before, so what is the importance of CoreView and why is it a necessary and easy to use tool for you is, as I mentioned before, again, the fact that it already offers you a lot of convenient features out of the box. It gives you the capabilities to automate your environment by using already built-in actions or workflows or adding your own custom workflows. It allows you to easily track and generate reports about issues in your environment. And for license pool management, of course, we see that it is an easy to use and comprehensible platform that will just make your day-to-day life easier by tracking license changes in your environment. Okay, so Jeremy, I'm going to go back to you.
Yes. All right. So now let's switch to Configuration Manager. And by the way, I'm going to answer some of those questions too that were asked in the chat about how we work with Configuration Manager. So just allow me to just pop out those questions. Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so that tenant rewind feature isn't based, and Configuration Manager isn't based on Microsoft DSC. That's the main differentiator. Microsoft DSC is a great platform, but it's leveraging the Microsoft DSC part, and that's PowerShell, and it has a lot of limitations, thresholds. It doesn't have the scope that Graph API has. So Configuration Manager is a platform that is leveraging Graph API, really, and not Microsoft DSC. Actually, a lot of customers we have, they have tried to build what we do with Microsoft DSC, and a large part of them chose to just discard that platform for Configuration Manager. The biggest one I can talk about is a customer that spent millions of pounds to just do what we do. And after testing the platform, they just discarded their internal project and used Configuration Manager. They used to have monthly trials to recover a tenant. And thanks to Configuration Manager, they were able to move from monthly to weekly trials of tenant restore. All right, so Configuration Manager is actually, the other part of CoreView. It's a simpler product, a smaller product, yet it's very, very efficient. So now here in this environment, I've got 3 tenants. Well, 4, but actually you've got the same one twice. The idea is that I want to know more about my tenants. And the first thing is I just want to retrieve my tenant configuration. I just want to review it. So I have here all of my configurations for this specific tenant. On the left, you can see all the workloads we have, but that tenant being a small one, I don't have everything like SharePoint and Teams. This is a very small tenant that I have, but my configuration is here. Configuration Manager backs up your data every day, once a day. Your data, your tenant configuration, sorry. And it's going to connect and retrieve it and display it for you. The idea is that, of course, if I want to search for my conditional access policies, I'm able to search for them, review them, view the content. And then if I want to switch to something around Exchange, instead of switching from admin centers to admin center, everything is in one single place. Now, that's just tenant review, right? But the key element of Configuration Manager is that ability to compare. You can compare your tenant to either the other tenants you have, maybe some of them that you have defined as what we call a baseline, a reference, a framework, or if you don't know where to start, we provide industry baselines. And actually, we provide 4 of them. 3 are essential 8 is for the APAC region, and for Europe and the rest of the world, we provide a CIS benchmark. So I had that ability to compare my tenant in its latest backup to that framework. And now I've got 4 tabs. The first one is what's in my tenant. Okay, that's everything that is specific to my tenant. That's good. The second tab is what I have in my baseline, in my CIS benchmark, but I'm missing. So I'm not 100% compliant, right? I'm missing things. How do I increase my compliance score? Well, if I want to just increase my compliance on conditional access policies, I can go in there and review these policies to see why they are relevant to that benchmark. And if I want to push it, all it takes is a click and reconcile. And by doing so, I'm going to take that configuration, that conditional access policy, in its exact configuration and push it to my target tenant. But as you can see, I picked 1 item, but I'm pushing 3. 2 users, break glass accounts. Configuration Manager is smart enough to know that if there are dependencies, such as users, groups, or other settings, it's going to fetch them and push them alongside the main change. So if I wanted to increase my compliance score on conditional access policies, I could select all of them and push all of them at once. And then it's just the platform doing the rest. And of course, I can increase my entire configuration in one shot. So that's the second tab, what I'm missing. The third tab is conflicts, what I have on both sides, but where I have differences. So both of my tenants have an authorization policy for Entra ID. Great. But, there is a but, it's not properly configured. On the right, I've got my benchmark, my CIS, and on the right, on the left, I've got my tenant. On the right, I've got my baseline. And if I want to merge everything from my benchmark to my tenant, I can do so, right? I'm going to take everything that is different and push it to my tenant. And for the rest, I've got, of course, parameters that are already alike, or I can do so item per item. I can, of course, hide them or add some notes to explain why in production it is vital that this parameter stays as it is. Can we copy paste and or compare configuration between 2 tenants? Yes, that's actually something I'm going to show you right after. So conflicts, that's you deciding what to do with partially configured items. And the last piece is matching items. So what's perfectly configured on both sides. And what you can see here is that, well, I'm not 100% compliant, right? I've got nothing with my CIS benchmark. Now, that's just with the CIS. What I want to do now is just compare my tenant to another tenant that I've configured to, and I will have the exact same configuration. These 4 tabs from my tenant, what's missing from my own other tenant, CoreView PSA, that is what we call our baseline or master tenant. And here I can just do the exact same thing. I can push my owners, my members, my roles and administrators, everything that is missing, I can push it from my from my baseline to my target tenant, from my master tenant to my target tenant. So I'm able to either start with the CIS or just compare with a regular tenant. And once again, same thing, conflicts, so what I have on both sides, and matching items, okay? And the last piece that is really interesting for most of our customers, especially those that only have one tenant, is that ability to compare the tenant to itself. I can click on the agenda here and go all the way back to the day I've onboarded that tenant, so 16th of May, and click apply. So I'm comparing my latest backup from this morning to the configuration I had a month and a half ago. And now I can see that, well, I've got some things that are still specific to my tenant today. Second tab would be what was available in May that is no longer here. So removed item. I could decide of a rollback if I had some things here, but I've got nothing. Nothing was removed. Great. And I've got conflicts. So things that have changed between now and then. And if I open the role and administrator's path, I can see that the global admin has been modified. That's interesting because that's like the biggest role on the M365 side. I can click on view and show differences and scroll down. And here I can see that, well, someone has modified, has added permissions on the global admin rights. Of course, it's Microsoft. We all know that, but we help you track that. You can see that. You can check that difference. So this is how you can leverage this menu to track what's happening with your tenant. Sync will show you the sync history, will allow you to check on your tenants. And let's once again take my CoreView PSA tenant. Actually, I'm going to extend the search for the last 90 days. All right. So here in the blink of an eye, I've got all of my backups for the last 90 days, and I'm able to see what was removed, what was changed in the blink of an eye. Let's take that backup from the 2nd of July. I can see a revert. I can click on see details. And well, the first thing that strikes me is that it was run by someone, Michael Smith, which is one of my colleagues. So he made a revert. He did a rollback. What did he do? Well, he removed one conditional access policy and 2 users. Well, if I wasn't okay with that, I could just go and fetch the previous backup and restore that conditional access policy because I need it. And I can see that he has made some changes on some permissions too. I'm not okay with that. All it takes is just come back to the reconcile menu, pick the configuration before this rollback, and return it, revert it. So you are able to track who has changed what and when in that environment. That's really something that I love about Configuration Manager. You've got some additional settings, of course, like I want to include only these specific things in my backup. I want to only backup things that are Entra related, and I want to just discard completely all the rest. Or I want to exclude anything SharePoint related from my backup to make it lighter. or because it doesn't make sense to back up my SharePoint sites configurations. So you are free to do whatever you want with your configurations that are backed up. You've got, of course, daily digest about what has changed in your tenants and pending approvals. Any change made in Configuration Manager to a target tenant is submitted to an approval. Someone has to approve the change. You cannot just automatically modify configuration. And that's good because, of course, you need control over this. Even if that tool isn't supposed to be in everybody's hands, you still need control over that. If you are into Intune applications, especially in large environments or multiple environments, you are able to upload your own Intune applications and deploy them from one tenant to the other. It helps you build in your applications, deploy them in your master tenant, baseline tenant, and then deploy them to all of your child tenants. Okay, so that's one thing about the platform. It makes your life easier. I heard Configuration Manager migrated to SaaS. What are the differences and advantages of this migration? Well, that's a good question. So CoreView acquired Simian Cloud, aka Configuration Manager, in November 2023. These were two separate platforms. Now, what we want to do is use the data we have in Configuration Manager and pour them into CoreView, because as shown by Kamilė, you have reports, GUI, delegation segmentation, automation. So we are moving away from the legacy environment to the SaaS version. And the SaaS version allows us to do way more. It's more reliant, it's faster, and it will offer additional features. So we plan to do actually in the future automatic rewind through workflows. So you have a change in configuration, you're getting an alert, an approval, and automatically it's being rolled back. We need the data from Configuration Manager to be into CoreView, and this is what we are building with the SaaS version. And that's actually my last and final point. The reporting was using an old Power BI dashboard, right? That's not ideal. In Configuration Manager, you will have access to direct reports. So we have started that integration. So if I come back to the CoreView Governance Center, the first item we have put in there is the tenant settings in the last 7 days. So here we have data from Configuration Manager being displayed into CoreView. And we are going to extend these capabilities over time, especially during this summer. The migration of data has finished. So now that we have the data for Configuration Manager in CoreView, we are going to build on these reports, leveraging, of course, everything we know already and what we can do about CoreView, once again, with delegation, segmentation. The moment we got the data, we are at our best because we will provide reports, delegation, automation. So this is the very first step of that final integration between Configuration Manager and CoreView, being able to have these reports in the platform. Last piece is, of course, to give access to Configuration Manager, you need permissions, and we have just built in 2 new roles that are configuration admins, so people that will be able to connect to Configuration Manager and do their thing, or just people that will have the configuration viewer. They will just be able to review the configuration, but they cannot make any change on any tenant or run things. They are just as a read-only user. So yeah, this is Configuration Manager in a nutshell. It's way simpler, but it's quite powerful. So whether you want to compare your tenant to an industry standard, you want to compare it to other tenants. By the way, I forgot, of course, you can, when you do a comparison, one last piece, you can, of course, you can export it. So if I want to just compare my tenant to the other, you will have at the bottom, export report. You can export that report to yourself, and you will have the content of these tabs with all the explanations in an Excel spreadsheet that you can, of course, review. And that's my cube. How long do you retain the configurations? Good question. By default, we retain configuration for 1 year. If you want to go above that, we will need some adjustments, but by default, you can have 1 year of retention for all of your configurations.
So if anyone has any other questions, you can please add them to the Q&A box.
I think you had a question about, can you buy licenses through CoreView?
Yes. So yes, in the meantime, CoreView platform itself is not meant for buying the licenses, but for the management part. So for CoreView, as I mentioned, you manage them and do actions to kind of incentivize people to clean up the licenses that they are using instead of adding new ones. So short answer would be no, you can't buy licenses for CoreView.
Any other questions?
How long do you retain the configuration?
Yeah.
I see that you're typing right now.
Yeah, I've answered that one. So as I explained, we had a difference between the SaaS version and the previous version. So everything is being migrated from the legacy environment to CoreView. So the data used to be hosted in DevOps environment that you could provide, or that we used to provide, and then everything now is in CoreView, and it adds significant new features such as reporting, delegation, and all the other features that we will offer in the future, because we will focus on the SaaS version in the future. The deployment is faster, it's more secured. We are just leveraging service principles, nothing else. So it's highly secured and of course faster.
So thank you everyone for attending. It was lovely to see you all. If you have any questions regarding this seminar, and if you would like contacts, please contact info@hermitage.lt, and we will give you more information about CoreView product and maybe give you a demonstration one-on-one with answering all of the questions that you have. So thank you again, and goodbye. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Take care.